What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new Thinking Wealthy episode. Is this episode 23?
Episode 22.
22, okay.
Episode 22.
So I'm just going to preface this by saying we are both very sick right now.
I know. Nick's very sick.
I'm very sick.
I'm recovering from
I got sick from him on the
Yeah.
last episode, or 2 episodes ago or
Oops.
something. Yeah. Anyways, it is what it is. So today we got a good episode. Sorry, I'm trying to recollect myself. Today we got a great episode in store for you guys. Before we get started, though, there's a little fee, okay? They see I'm a sick man, so I'm going to have Aiden say the fee.
Okay. So, I think I've done the fee every time in like the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
All right. So, you guys know how this goes by now. If this is the first time watching, you don't know how it goes. But that's what we're telling you. The fee is this.
Simple.
Me and Nick both got so much knowledge in our brains, right? We're the smartest individuals on the planet. Just kidding. But we are giving you guys free knowledge. And all we ask for you to do, as the only fee, no money, no nothing like that, go tell your freaking friends, right? Why wouldn't you want your friends to grow with you? Why don't you want your friends to get goated just like you are?
Tell them about the podcast. That's all we need.
Just tell the people about the podcast. Tell your grandma, tell your mom, tell your great uncle. Who cares, bruh? Tell Frank, okay? So, let's get into this. We're both not feeling great, but hey, right? Even when we're not feeling good, we still got to grind.
Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. That was Hamza.
Exactly. So, today we're talking about embracing change. This is going to be a fun episode, and I think this is a really important skill to have.
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of start it off with this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are scared to change. They're scared to accept when things aren't good enough, and they're scared to just go about changing, right? For me, I love changing. I love to see change, and change is growth, right? Every day I change a little bit. Every day I grow a little bit. And obviously we don't want to change into a bad person, so we got to avoid changing into bad things. But mainly speaking, when we're trying to change and grow, it's awesome, right? It's awesome to see us, change into someone better. And I think a lot of people are scared to embrace those first steps of change, and that's why they never truly grow. So today we're going to be talking a lot about that. We're going to be getting into just what exactly it means to embrace change, and then also kind of some strategies we can go about when change seems scary or daunting, right?
I got a question for you. Did this come from that Taoism video that you sent me? I haven't had a chance to watch that, so I'm just curious.
So,
you want to spit some bars about that?
I'll spit some bars. So I've recently been looking a lot into Taoism, which is...
Did I pronounce that wrong?
Yeah, it's not Taoism, it's Taoism.
Taoism.
The Dow Jones. And it's this Chinese philosophy that was created by this mysterious sage long ago named Lao Tzu, which is an interesting concept, which is basically that life is going to kind of go regardless of the things you do, right? And kind of the whole point of Taoism is to kind of learn to go with the flow. It kind of comes from the flow state, which you might have heard us say before, or just kind of the ideas of letting go and allowing, life to kind of run its course and for you to kind of go along with that stream rather than try to fight against it, right? And that kind of comes from this embracing change idea of so many people try to fight against the stream or like what their life is saying needs to happen. And if we just kind of allow for the forces of nature to do what they do, a lot of the time things just work out, especially if we kind of just learn to adapt and go with the flow as nature's doing its thing, right? It doesn't mean just let whatever happens happen and don't care. It means work with what nature's giving you rather than trying to fight it and change it, right?
See, Taoism is very interesting to me because I'm a Christian who practices stoicism. So it's similar in some aspects to Taoism. It also has its differences, but I find it really interesting. So I want to learn more about this, going with the change in, the Taoism perspective and how I approach it with my stoicism perspective.
Right.
So let's jump in. Like give me an example of change in your life recently, or it doesn't even have to be recently, just in general, big change.
Okay.
And how you approached it.
I think like one big thing for me has been this. I've talked before about a breakup that I had a while ago. And that was kind of a big change for me in terms of learning like, okay, relationships aren't everything. I think everyone's got to go through that one eventual change where they realize that the idealization of a relationship and being with someone isn't as cool as it seems. Yeah. And a lot of time it's a lot of work, right? Being in a relationship with someone is a lot of work. So for a long time, I just kind of stayed away from ever being in a relationship. I remember when I got out of that, I said, like, I'm not getting into another relationship for a while. And my mind kind of stayed in that position for a while. And I think that was a really important change for me, right? Learning to be comfortable alone and happy with like not being with someone was a big thing. And I think a lot of people don't experience that. A lot of people are really sad about the fact that they don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And it makes them really upset. But to me, I'm like, that's like crucial for growth, right? Being alone and learning to be, happy with yourself. I've said this before, but you can't expect anybody to want to love you when you don't love yourself. So first you got to learn to love yourself, right? And, a big change that's kind of come along in my life recently has been kind of a similar thing with, learning that like girls aren't everything. And when a new girl comes into your life, you can quickly get consumed by it. But a lot of the time, things that aren't meant to be are just aren't meant to be, right? We can't force things to happen. And especially when it comes to feelings and emotions, those are all kind of just like random as hell, to be honest. Attraction is something that you have no control over. And by trying to force someone to be attracted to you or force someone to have feelings for you when they don't, will never work. And you'll always get hurt, right?
It'll be messy.
So, one big change for me that I've learned is just be comfortable with understanding that you have worth and you're not going to just give in to other people and let other people walk all over you because you're scared of losing them, right? You have to stand your ground a bit and say, this is what I'm worth. I'm putting my time and effort into you. And if you don't appreciate that, then it's not worth my time, right? Simple as that. You got to understand your worth. So I think a big change that a lot of people have to be comfortable with is like, okay, if something isn't working, it's not your fault. Like if you've done what you can, that's cool. Don't be scared of losing it. Just let it happen, right? Because those changes, what's going to happen is you're going to let that person go that isn't good for you, and someone else will come into your life, right? Someone else who is good for you will come into your life. And if you're still hung up on that person, you'll miss that good person that comes into your life 100% of the time. So don't, allow negative things to ruin positive things that come into your life, right? It's natural for things to change.
Yeah, so for me, I guess the most recent change, or I guess more of an accepting change, has been this really interesting thing that I learned from my favorite self-development YouTuber called Hamza. He speaks very much on relationships a lot because it's really important to how he's developed his psyche, right? His like psychology, how he just exists in reality. And one thing that he has really talked about recently has really kind of resonated with me is like how the certain tier of girl that he's been attracting has been going up, right? So like, let me explain, right? When you're on self-development and you start working on yourself and you get like better and better, you start off, you can like pull sixes really easy, right? Like it's cool. It's like awesome. Like, yeah, but like you don't want to settle. So right, as you start to move higher and higher, right? You start to meet all these girls who are prettier and prettier and they have better personalities and they're like amazing and like, it's really cool. But the issue that so many dudes run into on self-development is that they'll like stick to it, right? They'll find like the girl who they think is the girl of their dreams, right? But they're blinded by like the looks, they're blinded by the charm that this girl puts on him, and he'll lose sight of the way forward, right? And so the issue that I always have is like I'll like see all these pretty girls and I'm like right? But the thing that I've been doing is taking the step back from that constant like chasing after girls and like not sticking and choosing to level up to the greatest tier possible, right? Because I want to have like my ultimate 10 out of 10 wife, but I can't just expect to like get her. I have to work to get up to her level as well, And so that change is realizing like I'm not going to settle for anything less that's even like a 9. I want the 10 out of 10, but I have to earn the 10 out of 10. So I have to climb up to that. So that's just been the biggest change for me, like accepting that reality.
Right. And like the sad thing that it kind of sounds rude to say that, but in a way it's like
true.
There's a lot of times where you'll meet someone who's like, this person's great, but there's fundamental things that just don't align, right?
Yeah, and you'll settle for less.
And you'll settle for less just simply because you like them as a person. But I think it's like, realistically, you have to realize, like, to me, it's like, everyone will have flaws and everyone will have things that aren't perfect about them, right? And it's not settling to accept someone's flaws.
Yeah.
You should love someone for all of their great qualities and the qualities that aren't so great about them, right? That's what love is. It's like accepting those. But that being said, if the person isn't going to do the same for you and isn't going to treat you with the same level of respect and love that you're giving them, they're not worth your time. Just drop them. They're not worth your time. If you feel like you're being judged constantly and you're constantly feeling like, you know, you have to change who you are to be like accepted by them, you don't need them, right? It's about growing as a person. A relationship should only help you grow and should only really, you know, push you to be more positive and be more happy, and it shouldn't make you feel like crap. So I know there's a lot of dudes out there that are really attracted to this one girl and they keep trying. Do you want to know the best way to show like to grow and change? It's dropping them.
Yeah.
It's going to feel great. It might feel sucky at first because you're like, well, I'm going to lose this girl. You don't need that girl, bro. If she doesn't want to be with you and she doesn't want to give you that time, screw it. Embrace that change, because that change is going to be fundamental in you growing as a person.
Yep.
It's seriously top tier. Like, some of the best growth I've had is realizing, like, bro, I'm worth so much more than this. Like, I'm being treated by, like I'm a 5 out of 10. I'm a 10 out of 10, right? You got to say that to yourself and keep pushing forward to find someone who's going to treat you like you are a 10 out of 10, right? But it even goes out of the way of it, even just talking about relationships and, like, you know, finding someone who's going to be your soulmate.
Yeah, there's so much more to change than just that.
Right. Like, a big thing that you're probably going to experience, I think especially coming out of high school, is changing with friends and the amount of friends you have, right? One big thing that happens once you stop going to high school every day is you lose a lot of social interaction that you were having, right? One thing I've noticed is there's a lot of people who will say, oh, I miss high school so much. I miss that social interaction, that blah, blah, blah. To me, I'm like, well, first of all, that's never coming back.
Yeah.
That level of social interaction isn't really going to come back after school, right? And then a lot of people get hung up on that. But in my opinion, it's really good to become comfortable being alone, right? I think me and Nick have both kind of learned this and had this period of time where
a Sigma male grind set.
Right, where we've learned to become really happy and comfortable being alone, right? Going through the day without getting a text from a single person asking how you are, or someone interested in what you're doing asking you to hang out. No, just learning to be comfortable alone. And it might sound sad, because in a way it is somewhat sad, like, oh, you have no friends. But it's not that we have no friends. It's that we have learned to become really comfortable when things are busy and you don't have time to hang out with friends and you're working on yourself, right? Those moments when you can become really comfortable with that are going to be what propels you into doing more beautiful things.
Bro is always burping into the mic. I swear, dude. That happens every episode now.
Okay. But yeah, like I was saying, the main thing that we need to do as, you know, people is learn, like, we got to be comfortable with just being ourselves and being alone and being happy with that. You don't need someone to confirm your happiness, right? Mm-hmm. You should just be happy alone. And if you can master that, you have truly become something unstoppable at that point.
So my pro tip for adjusting to change is what I've recently nicknamed the happiness of pursuit, right? So all this madness can be happening in your life. All this craziness can be all around you, right? And the stoicism philosophy that I apply is the only thing you can control is how you react, right? So all this madness can be happening. Everything's changing. The way to adapt to change is controlling how you react. And the reason I call it the happiness of pursuit is as soon as you start working on yourself and living that disciplined lifestyle, you can adjust to any circumstances that are happening around you, because you will develop the mindset that is unbreakable to those changing circumstances. You become almost a new person every time change happens. And if you appreciate and accept that there is change happening, but that you control how you react, that is when you actually see the growth. Not when you just let change happen, when you choose how you react to change.
A lot of people can get upset or vindictive when change happens, especially when it comes from, like, oh, I'm losing this friend. This friend's, you know, let's say, for instance, your friend's going off to college or something and he's leaving. Most likely you're going to lose a certain connection with that friend. Yeah. Of course, they might come back and you might still be best friends and you might go hang out. Right, that's great. But I think it's good to understand, like, a lot of the time when people leave and they go start their own lives as well, it can be hard to not get hung up on them, especially when you're staying in the same place and you're kind of watching them leave. It can feel really crappy, right? One thing I realized, though, is, like, that change and those friends going is gonna embrace new change, right? It doesn't mean you lose those friends. It just means you got to be embracing that change and realizing, like, only growth will come from that, right? Like, you will learn to make new friends and see new opportunities from that. And it's only going to be further growth that you'll have, you know?
See, it's really important because change is like the beginning of growth, you know? Like that's when the most growth happens is right at that beginning point. I think we talked in the last episode about the fog of disillusion, right? And so when you hit that rut and you're coming out, most people quit. They don't have the mindset to adapt to like, hey, I'm about to get past a point that nobody else really pushes through. If I push through this, then I'm going to get the most change, the most growth, and the best like reaping of harvests, you know?
Right.
Like the really important thing is if you approach this like this pain, all this like suffering, right? Like, oh, I'm going through everything terrible. Why not bring the best version of you out of it? You know, like you're suffering. Why not make it for a reason? You get what I'm saying? Like so many people just suffer and be like, oh, throw me a pity party. Like, no.
And the main thing is a lot of people expect to be understood or helped. A lot of people go through life saying, oh, my life's so hard right now. Oh, this sucks. I need help. And they expect help. And when it doesn't come, they break down and they say, oh, my anxiety. Oh, my God, I'm so stressed. Like, okay.
The victim mindset.
Right. There's some people who do actually have anxiety. It actually affects them. And I understand that. But I think a lot of that is somewhat a mindset of understanding, like, you have to be comfortable when things don't go your way. If you don't, you can't get through life. Just blaming it on other things, outside factors that you have no control over. Like, realize that you have no control over it, but what you do have control over, like Nick said, is the way you react. And it's about embracing that change and being comfortable with, like, okay, this might not have worked out the way I want it to, but it doesn't mean I can't embrace the change and move forward, right? So keep moving forward and keep pushing to embrace new change, right? Change is how we grow. And you're going to be amazed as soon as you start embracing change rather than fighting it, you'll notice just how much growth you really have, right?
I got a little analogy for the people, right?
Okay.
It's literally swimming upstream, right? That's so hard. Like, why would you ever swim against the current? But you move with the current, adapt to it, and choose how you approach the current, right? Then you'll be like swimming downstream, using that flow, the natural flow, to like move towards your goals.
And
Once you use that, then it propels you, because then you're not like fighting to go upstream. You're not that strong. Stop wasting all that energy, because you're not going to get like anywhere. And who knows, maybe your dreams, aspirations, and goals are downstream and you've just been going upstream for no reason. So don't fight the flow. Go with the flow.
One of like the big Taoism quotes is that the living are like living plants and beings are adaptable and they adjust and move, right? Like a living plant can't just be broken by doing this, right? Like by bending it, it adjusts and moves, right? And something dead, like a dead branch, will just break when you push against it, right? It's kind of the same idea as like someone who's got a like active and living mind will adjust and, you know, adapt to those forces and those things that aren't working and bend and flow to it, while something dead will just snap and break because it can't handle it. Right? So for you, you want to be that. If you're living, you want to live that life. You have to realize, like, okay, things aren't always going to go my way. And there is, like, there's,
oh my gosh, bro. Bro is literally just ripping it. Like,
there's no way that you can just change and, you know, allow things to be your way, right? There's going to be, I kid you not, tons of times where you just have to realize, like, there's nothing I can do.
The only thing you can control is how you react.
Exactly. And in every situation, it can be, I can react with anger, frustration, you know, just being a complete terrible person to be around, and everyone is like, oh, this guy's so annoying, like, I hate being around him. Or you can be like, boom, I don't give a frick, like, I'm gonna keep doing my life, keep doing me, because my life was good. This little change ain't gonna change much, and just keep moving forward. And it's going to, you know, everyone's going to be impressed.
Moving with the
and
flow.
You're going to grow so much, right?
Yep, exactly.
Learn to grow and move with the flow, right? The whole thing in life is you're going to notice things keep changing, right? I mean, dude, in this year, there's been so many changes, so many people that have come in and out of my life, so many things that I used to do that I don't do anymore, so many changes, right?
You feel like a different person.
And what's crazy to me is there's a lot of people who don't even realize or accept that, right?
Yeah.
They sit there and don't even think about it. It's just like nothing to them. One skill that I think is really important is the ability to look inwards. We talked about this before. Look inwards and accept when something isn't right or something is wrong, right? There's a lot of people who can't accept when something isn't good, right? Or they're doing something wrong. If you can look into yourself and go, this is something I'm doing wrong. This is something I'm doing that isn't good. And you can do that and you can accept those things and see those things, you are going to grow as a person so much more. So if you want to start embracing change, it comes from looking at the way you're doing things and saying, hey, this isn't healthy. This isn't good. I'm going to, cut that off. I'm going to learn to do it differently, right? Learn from your mistakes.
It also comes from a position of wanting to be better, right? I guarantee once you start self-improvement, you're going to look around, you're going to see all these other people, and you'll be like, why are they not working on themselves, right? This is something I noticed very early on when I started my journeys. I would get like really upset at people because they didn't want to work on themselves. I'm like, you are living like your worst life. You're always complaining and like you don't even try, I can think of a certain friend who has struggled. We both know him. He complains a lot. Yeah. And he's in a certain position. He just complains and he doesn't try.
Hard art grinder right there.
Yeah. I would say there's like 3 in our group then.
Okay, maybe we're thinking about different ones.
But you get what I'm saying basically. Like there's certain people who are just like comfortable living their pain, but complain about it. So I don't understand like why you choose to stay there, instead of growing. You get what I'm saying? Like
100%.
I was gonna say comfort is the killer of man. That's another thing that happens is like you refuse change because you're comfortable.
Right.
Like why would you stay comfortable and in misery when you could be like maybe you'd still be in pain, but you're practicing discipline and you're working on yourself and you're going to another level and you are able to bear that pain instead of just staying comfortable. You know what I'm saying? You kind of see like the philosophy right there.
And we've talked about, even with growing this account and Thinking Wealthy, we've talked a lot about getting too comfortable, right?
Yeah.
That's a big thing. So whenever we feel we're getting too comfortable or we're doing something where it's just like, okay, now we're comfortable with this kind of process that we've been doing for a while, we say, all right, how do we change it? How do we grow? What do we need to do that's like the next step, right? Because as soon as you start feeling comfortable and it becomes kind of this monotonous, like, okay, I'm going to post one clip on the TikTok and then go to work. As soon as you start to build into this cycle of like, I'm comfortable now, you need to break out of that so you can continue to grow, right?
You want to keep getting to the next tier every single time. You want to keep leveling up.
Okay. So I think when it comes down to like, what do you need to do, right? If you want to learn to embrace change more, what is something that you need to do, right?
Start with the mindset.
It starts with the mindset, and it comes from looking at everything going on around you and realize like, okay, what needs to change, right? I can guarantee you, if you sit there and think for 5 minutes about your life recently and like everything that's been going on, you can think of something that can, should change, right? Something that keeps coming back to your head every day that makes you upset, something that isn't working well. And all you got to do is change that, right? And a lot of the time what it is not necessarily like that thing you need to change. It's that you need to embrace that it is changing, right? It's not that, random thing in your life that is making you miserable isn't changing and you need to change it. A lot of the time it's that we're holding on to it and saying it'll be okay if I just keep holding on.
I heard this really good quote. It was literally from a Reddit post on TikTok. I don't know if people see those. There's like it'll be like Minecraft jump map, and it'll be like
the Reddit post. Yeah.
And it was a like a forum of like quotes that changed your life, right? Anyways, like the person was saying like they heard this in a meditation class. Like if you continue to hold on to something, then you'll be dragged. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
Whatever you're holding on to is just gonna hurt you, and you're gonna get dragged across the dirt. So stop holding on, let go, and allow change to work its course.
The sad fact of the matter, and this kind of comes back to the idea of relationships and people that we're, involving ourselves around. There's a lot of people that you will meet in your life that don't want to change. They don't want to embrace change, and they don't see that if they just change, things would get better, right? And they don't want to work on themselves. And what sucks, especially because our whole thing with Thinking Wealthy is trying to show people how to embrace change and learn to grow. When I see someone like that, it really makes me sad, right? Especially when I care about that person. But one big thing that I've had to realize recently is like, regardless of what that person's doing, there's nothing I can do, right? And it's a crappy feeling when you first realize that of like, there is simply nothing I can do. I have to just say, okay, that's your decision then, right?
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Exactly. So you can show them all these great things, but at the end of the day, if they don't want to do it and they don't want to listen, that's on them. That's their fault. And you shouldn't feel bad for that, right? And it kind of comes down to the same thing. It's like, okay, then I'm just going to embrace change and work on myself, right? Embrace that they don't want to change, and then it's not your responsibility or your problem.
So here's my little challenge for you, the listeners right now. After this episode is over, or, I mean, we'll be done in a couple minutes, but once this is over, sit down and practice a self-audit, right? Get out your journal, because you've been journaling, you've been working on yourself, right? Get out your journal, and we're going to make an entry, the Thinkin' Wealthy entry, and you're going to put in there all the things that, like, have changed from, say, like, the past 6 months, right? Then you're going to write down all the things that you think need to change now. And then you're going to take all those in and then just practice the self-audit. And remember, I want you to write down at, like, the very end is, like, the only thing I control is how I react. Write all that stuff down, and then now it'll be in your mind, and you'll be actively looking for that change and accepting the change, not just swimming upstream, you know? That's, like, if you're watching this, you are the person who's working on yourself, and you're going to practice this, right? So, like, go do it.
And to kind of finish this off, the day we're recording this, yesterday we posted a TikTok clip that did pretty good about relationship stuff, and someone commented, like, what do I do about the pain, right? Yeah. And so I just want to kind of, like, answer that, because it kind of, I think, is going into this. It's kind of what we've been saying this whole episode. It is that understand, regardless of what happened and whatever, you know, relationship you had with this person, you need to understand that if you did the best you can, that's all that matters, right? And from there, just embrace the change. Realize, like, don't be vindictive of the person. Say, they're a terrible person, I hate them. That's a bad mindset, right? Just realize, like, hey, we're not meant to be. That's the way, you know, the universe works a lot of the time. A lot of the time, people don't have feelings for each other in the same way, and it's just natural, right? Embrace that, understand that, and don't, you know, beat yourself up over it, right? Just be like, hey, wasn't meant to be. That's okay, right? And from there, you'll start to feel a lot better, and you'll start to be able to grow, right? If it wasn't meant to be with them, it's meant to be with someone else, and you just got to grow and work on yourself, so when that person comes along, you're ready. Do you know what I mean?
And it's hard, though. Like, don't get me wrong. That is a very mentally challenging thing to do.
It's, in my opinion, way more mentally challenging than almost anything else, right?
100%.
Coming to terms with your feelings and emotions and realizing that sometimes there is simply nothing you can do is one of the worst feelings ever, but it also is one of the best feelings ever once you can learn to understand that, right? And understand and not take that as, like, guilt and feeling bad, right?
Yeah, I have a specific I have a specific journal entry of the exact day when I realized this, right? And when I realized it, like, and finally just let go of everything and just forgave her, right? I felt like the hugest weight was lifted off my shoulders, and from there, my maturity has just been, like, accelerating through the roof, and I've just felt like such a more whole person, you know, accepting that the change happened and finally controlling how I reacted made me feel like whole. Like, it was insane.
Maturity, when it comes down to it, is accepting that regardless of what someone did to hurt you, it is not your fault. And by holding on to hate for them, you'll only continue to feel Sasuke, hateful, right? Exactly. Yeah. Kind of basically, actually, when it comes down to it, how did Sasuke become? Oh wait, you're not at this part yet. But, like, Sasuke, Sasuke does eventually come back around.
I'm assuming so, yeah.
So he learns to accept it rather than hate it forever, right? This guy's just got to finish the dang show.
I'm making my way.
Where are you now?
They're cleaning up after Payne did his thing.
You're still there?
Yeah.
Dude, come on.
I'm making my way downtown.
Everyone in the comments, go tell this guy to finish freaking Naruto. Because you're literally at, like, the best part.
Yeah.
Like, just keep going. Finish the show. All right.
Anyways, that's a wrap. I think that's
a wrap.
Yeah,
we're both tired. We're both sick.
I'm about to get some great sleep, bro.
He's about to go take a nap, and I'm about to go freaking... It's my mom's birthday.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Tornillo.
Happy birthday, Miss Tornillo. Great times. Okay. We love you guys.
Go achieve some greatness.
Best.
We're currently both on our trips when this episode airs,
right?
Or
I think this is, like, the week that we're back.
Okay, well we just got back from our amazing trips.
We just got back from our trips. We're living our best lives. You're going to be seeing it.
Yeah,
we're
you're
going to
see
posting so many clips.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be epic. It's going to be amazing. So see you guys then. Peace out.
And go achieve some great things.
Go be great.
Peace.